Fun time.
Here we
Here we
go.
go.
Been
waiting for this one. Camera's there. I gotta remember that when I talk. As we go over here, click my channel.
And that's why we check. That's why we check. All right, we're good. All right, we are good to go. Been waiting for this one. I'm excited for this one. Another one that I've been waiting to do and that I've been excited to do. So, without further ado. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CollingsThodeNetwork. This is Curtis. And yeah, after our March Madness content, I'm back talking about the Blue Jays, talking about my regular teams here as, well, it was a very good time, those March Madness brackets. I want to thank everyone for the support that you guys are giving to Nolan's March Madness bracket. If you haven't watched that already, go down below to the CollingsThodeNetwork, click subscribe, click like on this, and go like Nolan's video. Also watch my March Madness bracket. Although I'm already a little bit cooked, it's still a good time. So either way, today we're going to be talking about the Toronto Blue Jays, and I'm doing it with a big smile on my face because we just beat the Yankees 11-0. Yeah, that felt good. A very nice win. The bats were going. The pitching was immaculate. I mean, it feels good to be a Jays fan right now. So we might as well hop right into it with the Blue Jays beat the Yankees 11-0. The Yankees were, in fact, missing the majority of their key guys. I can admit that. I can admit that Judge wasn't playing. Jazz Chisholm wasn't playing. Wells wasn't playing. They had a couple guys that they were missing. But they still had Ahmed Rosario, who they planned to play at, I think, third base every single day. And then they had Randall Grichuk playing, former Blue Jays. So Randall Grichuk did nothing. Rosario was actually pretty good. He went 2 for 3. He was responsible for 2 of the 3 Yankee hits today, as our pitching staff held the Yankees to 3 hits on 30 at-bats, or 30 plate appearances, however, I think it's at-bats. Keep in mind, the Blue Jays were 14 of 37, way better. I mean, we just took it to them. Now, I will say, I don't exactly remember who the Yankees pitchers were, so I'm actually going to go find that. Only thing I forgot to write down, because I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff about the Blue Jay pitching, but nothing about the Yankees. So it was Weathers who was starting, and it just continued to fall off the wagon with Winquist, Hanner, and Rossi, and Castro. So those were the pitchers that we were demolishing. Now, the Blue Jays pitchers were not getting demolished. This was a phenomenal game for the Blue Jays pitching, and more specifically, Ponce. Yes, Cody Ponce, a guy that, we're excited about, but I'm nervously optimistic, cautiously optimistic about how Ponce is going to do this year. But if this game is a sign of things to come, there is not a thing in the world to be worried about with this guy. So looking at his stat line, he went 5 2/3 innings with 1 hit allowed, no walks, and 5 strikeouts. He was dialed in. And when I say dialed in, I mean he had 65 pitches in 5 2/3, so he was getting through the order. In a regular season game, this is a guy that we would have just sent out there again. In his 65 pitches, he had 44 strikes. He was pounding the zone. And there was nothing the Yankees could do about it other than Rosario. But that's such a nice thing to have. Just depth at starting pitching, which we need right now, as we'll get into that later. But continuing on, it was Yariel Rodriguez who came in the 5th inning. He got a quick out and then proceeded to allow 2 hits, but no runs, as he got 3 strikeouts and 1 walk in his appearance. He pitched in the 6th and the 7th. In the 8th inning, Jeff Hoffman came up and got 3 outs. It was, let me say here, it was 2 flyouts, 1 pop out, and I'm more so just happy that he was in the 8th inning, not the 9th, because we got to start to get Hoffman a little bit more used to coming in the 8th inning. I mean, I don't want him closing games next year, so yeah, 8th inning. And let's start to use like Farland or something. So in this one, we used Alcala for 1 inning. He got 3 outs, 2 pop outs, 1 fly out, and yeah, that's how you shut out the New York Yankees with, well, just 4 pitchers. Just 3 pitchers out of your bullpen is what I was trying to say. So a very good day for the Toronto Blue Jays. Pitching as well as for the bats, as Varsho went 3 for 3 with a walk. He was perfect today, and he's been money so far in spring training. He's been one of the guys that I'm like, I shouldn't have been so nervous about him. I shouldn't have worried about this for a second, because he has been amazing. So, I mean, today I have a very much so recency bias about it, but I really think so. And we see in the chat there, of course, Dave Collings, our regular, saying, did we find a hidden gem in Ponce? And I really think we did. I really think we found a genuine starter who's going to be money for us this season. Whether or not he's the third starter, which he is right now, or the fifth guy in our rotation, I have very high hopes. Moving on to the rest of our batters, Springer was amazing again. Looks like that old age isn't hampering him much, where he went 3 for 4 with a grand salami. That's 1 home run, 4 RBIs for the boy, and then a double to go along with it. So 2 extra base hits, a single he got pinch ran for after his last double. It was a very good game for George Springer. That's what we want to see from him moving forward. And then the last hitter that I wrote down stats about, because it was the last guy that hit a home run for us. It was Jimenez. Yes, Andreas Jimenez. Going yard. He went 1 for 2, home run. It was a 2-run shot after a wild pitch that allowed a runner to score. So it could have been, it should have been a 3-run shot if we're being honest with each other. And he also drew a walk. A really good game. Again, Jimenez is not going to do that regularly. But if he's going to bat ninth, he can hit 230. He could get on base 29% of the time. I can live with it. Honestly, it's worse than he was doing in the playoffs. It's not those aren't good numbers, but for our defensive specialist shortstop, I'm plenty happy with that. Now, we will get into the projected numbers. I'm on RotoChamp right now, and that's where I'm going to be looking at the projected stats and the projected lineups for next year. As talking about this team, especially what I noticed today, we had 1 run scored in the first, we had 0 runs in the second, and then I think it went like 4-5-5 or like 4-4-5 in the next couple innings. The second or third time this team sees the starting pitcher, it's game over. It is game over. With how good this team is at getting bats on balls, with how good this team has become at base running, the minute these guys figure out the starting pitcher for the night, it's over. I have so much optimism because of that. I really like this contact heavy, get the bat on the ball, have a couple guys that can really power it type of offense. I think it works perfectly. And speaking of that, we'll get into it. Who RotoWire projects to be the starting lineup next year. I have it written down defensively here, but then I will get into what it looks like they project to be the actual 1 through 9. So defensively, it's going to be Kirk, Vladdy, Ernie, Jimenez, Okamoto in the infield. I don't need to say the positions. You already know. And then in the outfield, it's going to be Varsho and Barger. That's center and right. And then it's going to be a platoon. A lot of these websites have it being a platoon, but a lot of these websites also have Jesus Sanchez as our starting left fielder. Now, I will say, to give context to that, RotoChamp here has him taking 376 at-bats. Looking over at the bench for guys like Nathan Lucas and, yes, Davis Schneider. Davis Schneider is projected to take 280 at-bats, and then Lucas 277. So that really is a platoon system where it looks like 40% of it's going to be going to Sanchez and then 30-30 to the remaining guys, which we'll see how it works out. I'm not so optimistic about Sanchez, but I'd love to be surprised. I'd love to be pleasantly surprised. So they have the lineup going Springer, Varsho, Vladdy, Barger, Kirk, Sanchez, Okamoto, Jimenez, Clement, which, I mean, that's not bad. It's not awful. I would change it up myself. I would make a lot of differences. I'd move Barger from the 4 spot to the 2 spot. I would move... Maybe I'd actually keep our show there. I'm a big Okamoto guy. I'm hopeful. I've seen some guys on my YouTube comments, shout out to ya, saying that he would like to see Ernie Clement in the 2 spot because he's an on-base guy. And yeah, he gets on base. He's projected to get on base 30% of the time, which I'd like that, versus Varsho's 29%. I think Varsho just batting in the 2 spot is such a black hole for this lineup. And then looking at the pitching staff, it's the same that I have here, which goes Gausman, Cease, Ponce, Scherzer, Lauer. And you might be thinking to yourself, you didn't say a couple names. What's up with that? Well, let's get into that, I guess. As Trey Savage is on the IL. He has some shoulder injuries. I think it was impingement, something like that. That's not good. It's going to be multiple weeks, I think. He's going to miss the start of the season regardless. Same as Shane Bieber, who is going to miss the start of the season because of right elbow soreness, if I'm not mistaken. And then the last guy is Jose Barrios, as he has a hairline fracture, I think, in his throwing arm, whether it's shoulder or elbow. I wasn't too sure. But yeah, that hurts. That hurts quite a bit. That's why Scherzer, Lauer, and even Ponce are going to be regular fixtures for this team. Continuing to look at the IL, Santander, that's a guy who most likely than not would be the regular everyday left fielder. In a perfect world, he's hitting 40 home runs for us. So yes, I do have a lot of hope for this lineup. I have a lot of hope for this team. If it were up to me, I would have Lucas playing every day against right-handed pitching. He would be the second batter against left-handed pitching. You could go probably Schneider or Sanchez at that point. Probably Sanchez because he is a lefty. Same as Lucas. Then I'd probably go Schneider against lefties. And that's the thing. That's the thing with this lineup. I just don't see how Sanchez really fits in. I can't be so high on him like I see everyone else is. And then looking at the bullpen, the projected guys to pitch the most innings is going to be Jeff Hoffman, Tyler Rogers, Louis Varland, potentially Jimmy Garcia, Tommy Nance, Brandon Little, Brain Fisher. Yeah. Fluharty, and then the rest of the guys there. Yariel Rodriguez, who got an appearance today and pitched rather well. He's only projected to get 36 innings. We'll see what it actually pans out as. Now, looking at some breaking news from this team, I saw just before I went live that our backup catcher, Brandon Valenzuela, is sent down. He was moved to AAA, which, yeah, slightly disappointing. I won't lie to you. I am a little disappointed by that. I thought he would be perfect to be our everyday backup catcher, but given the fact that he is 25 years old, being the starter in AAA, playing every day, getting those plate appearances, yeah, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe I can rationalize it a bit better, a little bit more. And of course, off our bench, we do have Heineman, who is still fine. He's still okay. Looking at the lineups and the rotation here, what it has projected for our counting stats, it has a huge year from Vladdy, which I would love. But the guys that I'm more interested in are guys like the Okamotos. What is projected for these guys? Now here on Roto Champ, it says he's going to hit 24 bombs, 76 RBIs. They have him potentially batting .245 with a 33% on base and a 4.52 slugging for a 7.82 on base percentage. On base plus slugging, which I like. I think he's going to do better in real life. I think he's going to be flirting with an 800 OPS. I really do. I see that much talent in him, in his history, and I love his swing. He hit a ball 108 today that was on a frozen rope to center field, and it hit the wall 400 feet from home plate. It was beautiful. Just beautiful. So yeah, I definitely have hope for him next year to do a little bit better than that. Some of the other guys where it's like they have Barger having a 744 on base plus slugging. Now that I would love. If he could OPS above a 700, hit for power. Now this Roto Champ only has him hitting 18 home runs. I think the power's going to come. I really do. So Barger's got to look out for. It has Varsho hitting 26 home runs and 76 RBI. That's optimistic. I'll give you that. And then for guys like Cody Ponce, it has him pitching 144 innings and going 8-8 with a 4.06 ERA. If today was anything to base the future on, I got optimism that that's going to be a little better. Just a tiny bit. So very optimistic about this team. I love going through the lineup. Again, I'm still a bit miffed inside about the fact that Valenzuela is not going to be the backup catcher. I personally just think he is the best option, but we're here now. Looking at the rest of the guys, we have a couple young guys that might make their way up, like Jonathan Clause. Eloy Jimenez isn't a young guy, but he could make a splash if he's healthy long enough. And then a couple other guys that, it is exciting. I can't view the prospects for some reason. They're not loading for me, but just guys off the bench. Again, that Jonathan Clase guy, we traded for him in 2024, maybe early 2025. I'm hopeful. I am hopeful. The last little bit of news here is that the Toronto Blue Jays are adding a new fixture to Rogers Center. It's going to be the Hall of Excellence. I think they described it as like a walk-in Hall of Fame rather than just the level of excellence. And the first new addition to it is going to be Buck Martinez. So that's really cool to see. The Blue Jays are making their own official Hall of Fame, Hall of Excellence, and then the legendary voice Buck Martinez himself is going to be the first new addition. So I really love that. That's feel-good news at its finest. And, well, beating the Yankees 11-0. Now that's feel-good news at its finest. And that's going to be it today. The last thing I'll talk about, I guess, is shout out Venezuela for winning the World Baseball Classic. Beat America. We couldn't do it. No one else really could, I guess. I mean, Italy could do it. And then you guys. So shout out Team Venezuela. Awesome win. The emotions in the winning video for that team were just, it's enough to get you choked up seeing that. So, they say there's no crying in baseball, but I'm pretty sure I saw some tears on the field there. So it was historic, and that was pretty cool. So shout out to Team Venezuela, and, well, I'm excited for the Blue Jays coming up. So make sure you stick around here on the CollingsThodeNetwork. Hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be talking about the Blue Jays. Tomorrow we talk about the Carolina Panthers. We're probably done with the Leafs, but I'm not done with the Raptors. So we got lots to talk about as the season goes on. So, again, subscribe to the CollingsThodeNetwork. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of our uploads. And, as always, until next time, peace.